In Central Appalachia, cryptids create a colorful shared culture and are bringing dollars into West Virginia.
The craft beer industry is booming in small towns, creating new opportunities for local entrepreneurs.
Coming up, we take a deep dive into West Virginia culture and tourism, exploring the people, places, and traditions that make the Mountain State unique.
Those stories and more coming up on West Virginia Today. Welcome to West Virginia Today, a public affairs show produced by television journalism students right here at West Virginia University. I'm Claudia DeLima.
And I'm Hannah High School. West Virginia exported nearly $5 billion in goods in 2024. Those exports support more than 27,000 jobs in the state.
One exporter, Fiesta Tableware, is the last surviving clay factory in the country. And as Samantha Smith reports, does more than just provide jobs for the people who love their colorful products.
In folklore, Claudia, a cryptid is an animal-like being that people claim to see but can't prove exist. Stories about cryptids are told all over the world, like Canada's Bigfoot or Scotland's Loch Ness Monster.
Reporter Reagan Deuceman traveled the state to collect the stories of Appalachian cryptids and joins us live in the studio with more. Reagan?
Thanks, Claudia. Hannah, the stories of cryptids are passed down from generation to generation, and along the way can help rural communities create a sense of shared culture. In West Virginia, some small towns are using these tales to create festivals and landmarks that attract tourists and ultimately improve the local economy. There were 6 cryptid festivals held in West Virginia this year. The Mothman Festival reports 2025 was a record-breaking year for attendance. More than 32,000 people attended the Point Pleasant event.
Thanks, Reagan. From 1867 until 1995, the West Virginia Penitentiary housed some of the state's most notorious inmates, Claudia.
But today, Hannah, the prison's bars and cell blocks attract a different kind of crowd.
I traveled to Moundsville with digital reporter Jessica Riley to meet the tourists looking for history and sometimes the paranormal. Visit our website to read digital reporter Jessica Riley's story, examining the uneasy relationship between the West Virginia Penitentiary's grim history and its modern role in tourism.
According to the National Brewers Association, craft beer sales declined by 4% in 2024.
And for the first time since the early 2000s, Claudia, there are more breweries closing annually than opening.
Reporter Lily Reisenweber joins us live in the studio to tell us more about the health of the industry in the Mountain State. Lily?
Thanks, Claudia. Hannah, Forbes reported in 2010 that West Virginia had less than 5 breweries and ranked last in the country for per capita beer production. But today there are more than 30 breweries supporting the economies of small towns across the state. I visited West Virginia's largest in Elkins to learn more about the industry and their craft. Visit the link at the bottom of your screen to view West Virginia Tourism's ultimate West Virginia beer road trip. The guide highlights 14 breweries from Charlestown to Parkersburg.
Thanks, Lily. From events like the Mothman Festival to tours of historic sites like the State Penitentiary, tourism generates more than $6 billion in annual revenue for the state, employing 1 in 15 West Virginians. Hannah is joined in the studio now by one of the state's leading economists to tell us more about how tourism fits into the state's overall economy. Hannah?
Thanks, Claudia. I'm here with Dr. John Deskins. He's the director of the Bureau of Business and Economic Research right here at West Virginia University, and each year presents state lawmakers with a statewide economic forecast. Dr. Deskins, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
So I'd like to start with just a basic overview of West Virginia's economy. What industries does the state's economy depend on? Coal is the most common answer, but what else drives the economy in West Virginia?
Well, we have a few industries that have been growing at higher than average rates in recent years. For example, energy output has been growing relatively rapidly. That's coal and gas. Healthcare has been doing well in recent years. Professional services has been doing well. A couple others, but the real point there is that we don't have a healthy level of industrial diversification. A key part of a healthy economy is a diversified industrial mix where we have multiple industries that are doing well. That way, if one industry suffers due to some shock, there are other industries that are still growing that can fill in that gap. But we have too much reliance on just a few industries. So finding ways to broaden out the industrial mix in West Virginia has to be a really key economic development priority.
That's an interesting point. Your office also prepared the state's most recent economic forecast for the West Virginia legislature at the start of this year. Where does the state stand in relation to the projections that your office presented?
Well, we expect West Virginia to slow down. This is true nationally and in the state. We don't expect a recession, we don't expect declines, but we expect employment growth, output growth to not be where they have been nationally. In West Virginia, we expect the economy to be mostly flat in terms of employment for the coming years. Now, 6 months ago or a year ago, people were worried about a recession. So flat is better than a recession, but the growth isn't going to be as rapid as we hope, most likely.
So staying on the national level, the extended government shutdown has impacted several industries, including tourism. Has the shutdown directly affected West Virginia's economy, and do you foresee a long-term impact on the state?
It's too early to be sure, but when the shutdown first happened a few weeks ago, I was very concerned that it would really damage tourism with the national park, with the New River Gorge National Park. This is prime season for tourism, fall foliage season. This is when we have all these tourists coming in, bringing money into West Virginia, and I thought a shutdown of the park might really damage our state. But state leaders have intervened to make sure that the park has stayed open during this prime tourist season. And the other parks that are tourist destinations in West Virginia are really state parks, not federal parks. So I'm hopeful that the impact of the shutdown is going to be muted in West Virginia, at least as far as tourism goes.
Yes, so the Bridge Day 2025 reportedly brought in over 120,000 people, although some were worried about the government shutdown. How does an event such as Bridge Day hold up its surrounding area and economy?
Well, it's important to bring money into the state. I mean, tourism is within our comparative advantage. This is something that West Virginia can do really well because of our beautiful state, our beautiful mountains, wonderful rivers, scenic amenities. This is something that's in our comparative advantage. It's something that we have to focus on because it brings money in from outside of West Virginia. Those dollars circulate through the state. Once they come into the state, there's an economic multiplier effect, and tourism creates lots of economic benefits as those dollars ripple through the economy over and over. On top of that, tourism improves the state's image. When people come here and they see these whitewater rafting opportunities, these mountain biking opportunities, when they see the mountains and the fall colors, it might change kind of what they think of when they think of West Virginia, and that's got a real strong benefit as well, probably. So
aside from Bridge Day, there are some other main moneymakers in West Virginia. The Department of Tourism showed recently that it collected $9 billion in economic impact for this last year. So what do you think these main moneymakers are that have driven this rise in tourism?
Well, again, the main thing is tourism is a way to bring money into West Virginia. That's the main thing. We have to find ways to export our goods or to bring money in through tourism. So when a tourist comes here, they spend money at a restaurant, a bar, the whitewater rafting place, the mountain biking place, bringing money in. Those businesses pay their employees spend money in the state. Those businesses buy inputs. Like the whitewater, the rafts, for example, that they have at the whitewater rafting place. They buy inputs. That's created even more business in the state, and that's how the economy works. We have to find more ways to really leverage our assets to get more tourists to come here, to bring more money into West Virginia, and really capitalize on the opportunities that we have.
So while there is a large focus on adventure tourism like this whitewater rafting and Bridge Day, the state, as you said, also offers local food and beverage options when people do come to West Virginia. One of our reporters covered Big Timber Brewing, which is a local beer distributor. While it might not shift the state's economic situation, how do local breweries and other establishments benefit the local communities that they might be in?
Well, they certainly have a direct benefit just through the dollars that are spent there and as that money flows to the economy, as I said a second ago. But really, these craft breweries have an important impact in terms of making West Virginia just more cool. We have to make West Virginia attractive to potential residents, people who might want to live here, and we have to make West Virginia attractive to potential tourists. And having a healthy craft brewery scene is one important part of just making our state more attractive to residents and tourists. So I think this jump that we have in craft breweries and other related businesses is an important step in economic development in terms of making us more attractive.
So I would also like to touch on there is no shortage of coverage and advertisement for places such as Cooper's Rock, the New River Gorge, and Cass Railroads. Do you think the investment is worth it? Does the state experience enough of a return on investment for what it's doing to advertise these tourist destinations?
I think the investment is worth it. I think Again, tourism is one of the areas where we can really have strength because of our wonderful natural outdoor amenities. It's within our comparative advantage, something that we need to leverage aggressively. So the more that we can do to promote West Virginia to out-of-state residents who might move here, who might come here to visit, I think it's going to yield a good return on investment in the long run. That said, it's entrepreneurs and government leaders need to be very careful in analyzing each different part of our overall marketing theme, just to make sure that we're doing it the right way and getting the biggest bang for our buck. But overall, I think it's probably a pretty good investment.
Dr. Deskins, we do only have 30 seconds left, but I would like to ask you one more question. What lessons, if any, can West Virginia learn from other states that have found themselves in a declining economic base and have found success in other industries?
What we need to do is diversify our economy, as we said, and we need to invest in our people. We need to invest in West Virginia in improving drug abuse outcomes, health outcomes, poor education or job training outcomes. If we can invest in our people and find more opportunities in our economy, we'll be much healthier in the long run.
Dr. Deskins, thank you for your time and insight today.
Thank you.
Claudia, back to you.
Coming up on West Virginia Today, we'll travel down I-79 to hit the rapids of the Gauley River as whitewater rafting season comes to an end. That story and more after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back to West Virginia Today. Gauley season has come to a close. The 6-week period after Labor Day, when controlled dam releases turned the Gauley River into one of the most challenging whitewater runs in the country.
The season draws about 20,000 paddlers each year and plays a significant role in the region's fall tourism economy.
Jeff Bogus takes us to the Gauley River for a look at how this year's season is still making waves in the local economy. West Virginia may not have any major league sports teams, but the state is still home to athletes chasing big dreams, including wrestlers in southern West Virginia, where the sport is thriving.
Ty McClung and digital reporter Jonathan Edwards traveled to Madison to meet some of them turning small-town matches into big-time goals. That's it for this edition of West Virginia Today. I'm Claudia DeLima.
And I'm Hannah High School. You can keep up with the latest from West Virginia Today on our website at the bottom of your screen.
You can also stream our shows on HD Media's websites, including the Charleston Gazette Mail.
Thanks for watching West Virginia Today. A new law has some West Virginia parents concerned over religious language being displayed in public school classrooms. I'm Hannah High School.
And I'm Ty McClung. Grocery prices are rising, but customers could see an even higher bill as bans on certain food dyes take effect.
Coming up, we explore how laws passed during this year's legislative session are impacting West Virginians as they are implemented.
This is West Virginia Today, a public affairs show produced by television journalism students right here at West Virginia University.
Everytown for Gun Safety reports more than 100 incidents of guns being fired on school grounds so far this year.
An August shooting at a Catholic school in Minneapolis that resulted in the death of 2 students is just the latest instance of violence to spark conversations about how to keep kids safe.
In West Virginia, lawmakers are trying to balance safety with reduced distractions in the classroom.
Reagan Dusman joins us live in the studio to tell us more about a new phone ban taking effect statewide this fall. Reagan?
Thanks, Ty. Hannah. West Virginia students are banned from having cell phones in classrooms starting this school year. The law that took effect this summer allows schools to decide how to implement the ban themselves. Some are using magnetic pouches that lock at the beginning of the day and can only be unlocked by a teacher or principal. Experts say the ban could be good because cell phones play a complex role in childhood development.
There are different types of tasks that are more compatible with each other. That's how we can take notes, for instance, right? Like listening and writing is a form of multitasking. However, those tasks are more compatible because they're not requiring attention to go in different directions. Therefore, technology can either help with those tasks or it can hinder them.
Students have mixed feelings about the ban. While some say they think fewer distractions will improve their learning, others say their phones help them stay connected and even feel safe. Lawmakers say another benefit of the phone ban is a decrease in cyberbullying during the school day.
Thanks, Reagan. Students are also seeing new signs in classrooms across West Virginia. State law now requires public schools to display the national motto, "In God We Trust." Public funds cannot be spent on the signs, so many schools are relying on private donations to comply with the law, including a recent donation of 2,500 signs by Christian conservative business Patriot Mobile. The company spent nearly $10,000 on the donation and created backlash across the state for implications of far-right involvement in schools. But some educators say the signs can improve students' civic knowledge, no matter who donates them.
I think that anytime that we can promote a knowledge of citizenship for our students, it's a positive thing. This is our national motto, and so making our students aware of national laws and history about our country is never a bad thing.
The bill has also raised questions about religious language forced on students in schools. But legal experts at WVU say it does not violate the constitutional protection separating church and state.
One of the focuses of the Trump administration's Make America Healthy Again initiative is combating chronic illnesses in children. It includes the elimination of artificial food dyes that federal health officials say cause hyperactivity. The White House says nearly 35% of America's food industry has pledged to remove these dyes from their products by 2028. But as Claudia DeLima reports, West Virginia is taking it one step further and is one of 3 states enacting bans of their own. A ban on artificial food dyes is just one of many issues affecting the state's children that lawmakers debated during their legislative session this year. From ways to improve the state's foster care system that's housing nearly 6,000 children to bills that would loosen the state school vaccine requirements, legislators considered new laws that will shape the future for kids across the state. Ty is joined in the studio now by a journalist who specializes in coverage of children and families. Ty?
Thanks, Hannah. I'm here with Amelia Nicely, an investigative reporter for West Virginia Watch. She covers stories about child welfare, poverty, and West Virginia's foster care system. Amelia, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
West Virginia Today reporter Claudia DeLima reported on a food dye ban which lawmakers approved during last year's legislative session. It's also a part of the Make America Healthy Again initiative by Secretary Robert Kennedy. Amelia, are you noticing West Virginia politicians taking the lead on implementing national policies here in West Virginia?
Some of them, absolutely. And I think when it comes to the Make America Healthy Again initiative, we saw a strong rollout from lawmakers. Trump carried West Virginia very easily. And of course, lots of lawmakers are fans of Trump, but even the ones who maybe wouldn't attach themselves to him publicly, it's very politically popular for them to do that, right? And so some lawmakers were already implementing some things like food dye bans in their own homes even before this was a national issue. And so they hit the ground running as soon as we got into session and as soon as we saw that become a national issue as well. It's really interesting to see West Virginia be on the forefront of that particular issue in a state that we have a myriad of child health issues. I think lawmakers are aware, though, that there's much more to do, right? We are at the bottom of many lists of child health outcomes. We have shortages of pediatricians and mental health care. Some counties don't have a single grocery store. And I think they know there's more work to do. So not a victory lap yet on this issue, but they were very happy to be on the forefront of a Trump policy this year on this one.
We've also reported about religious exemptions for vaccine requirements in schools, which is a story that you've followed very closely over the last few years, reporting that only a tiny fraction of school-age students really have these exemptions. But with these policy changes being held up in legal battles in courts, what's the latest?
It's a very complex situation, but in short, we have lawsuits all over the state where it essentially boils down to the governor versus the school board. The school boards want to keep our state vaccine laws very strict. We have some of the strictest in the country. And the governor believes that parents should be able to use religious exemptions to not vaccinate their children but still attend public schools. And one of the main lawsuits is in Raleigh County, where families who want to use the religious exemption have sued their school board. That case is back in court next week. There is even some movement that it could turn into a class action. We don't know what's going to happen yet, of course, but I think regardless of what happens next week in Raleigh County, we're going to see this land before the Supreme Court, because those lawsuits all over the state are actually getting different rulings, and it's just such a complex issue that really is going to test West Virginia's religious freedom law. So I assume we will see that before the Supreme Court next year.
We also have recently reported, both on our show and on our website, about a new law requiring schools to display the national motto, "In God We Trust." This policy seems to indicate that there's more of a discussion of religious issues in the State House. Do you see that trend in your coverage?
I do. I mean, I think it's been there before Trump was back in office this time, but I think because it is part of the national rhetoric, and like I said, we are a very Trump-friendly legislature and state, we're seeing it more at the State House as well. And I think also, particularly in the Senate, we have people who are now in power positions that really attach themselves to these religious bills. In the past, those people were more on the wings, I would say, and now with a shift in power in the Senate and Governor Morrisey in office, I think religion in laws is really at the center of so much that's going on in the legislature now. So it's very interesting to cover and try to figure out legally what's going to hold up in court.
We've also reported a story on our website about issues in the foster care system and a new statewide communication system that is supposed to streamline communication between the parties involved. So far, we know of only one county, Randolph County, implementing this system. Have you seen this system? Do you see this system as actually facing any of the issues of foster care?
Yeah, I do. I think on the surface, it sounds like communication portal. It's essentially a chat room, and you might think, oh, big deal. But I will say something really interesting about this. It came from a piece of legislation that passed earlier this year. It is the brainchild of two lawmakers, Republicans, who are also foster parents. And so this is one of those really interesting pieces of legislation that is a direct result of foster parents listening to other foster parents, bringing their own concerns into it, and then passing this bill. Now, they're well aware that there are a lot of problems facing foster care, and this communication portal is not going to fix those problems, right? It doesn't mean we're not going to send more kids out of state, right? Or it doesn't mean we're going to suddenly have more mental health care for foster kids. But communication is a huge issue in the foster care system. And whether it's foster parents communicating with CPS workers or biological parents, communicating with their attorney, all of that should be made easier with this. So I do think that while it's not the key to fixing everything, it's a really critical piece of legislation, and hopefully as we see it roll out across the state, there is a reporting mandate in it, and so I think in a year we're going to learn more if it's been successful, and I hope that it will be.
Mm-hmm. Following up on that, you talked about the importance of foster parents listening to other foster parents. Earlier this year, representatives from the state foster care system embarked on a listening tour across the entire state, and you followed up on this throughout your coverage. Have you noticed any solutions to the issues coming from this tour specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually got to attend this tour in Parkersburg. It was really interesting. The state actually hired an outside group. They did pay $385,000 for it. It was not a cheap tour, but I got to attend it, and it was interesting to hear foster parents, CPS workers, judges, attorneys, etc., just lay it all out there. Now, none of their concerns were really new. It won't shock you to know communication was one of those concerns, but they were able to just say to the new Morrisey administration, this is what's going on, and this is why the system is really crumbling. And then this outside group put together a report. And some of the suggestions are really boring, but I'll still report on them. But one of them is just implementing streamlined policy across the state when it comes to how courts and CPS workers handle foster care cases. Right now, a big complaint is the system is that a biological parent trying to get their child back in Randolph County will have a totally different experience than a parent, say, in Monroe County. And so new Secretary of Human Services, Alex Mayer, who just came in January, he already, even pre this tour, was really focused on streamlining processes. So again, not the most exciting thing to report on, but I think is a really critical thing to help move this foster care system out of crisis.
Amelia, I want to think, we have about 30 seconds left, so one final question really quickly. What do you expect to be one of the biggest issues the legislature tackles next session?
I'm going to say education and school funding. Our schools, and we only have a few seconds, but our schools are really struggling with their funding between population decline, Hope Scholarship Voucher Program, other things going on, and they've got to revamp that school aid formula, or we're going to continue to see so many school closures around the country, or I'm sorry, around the state. And I don't know if they will do that, but that's what I'm hearing rumblings of, and it really seems like a pressing issue.
Amelia, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Hannah, back to you.
Thanks, Ty. Coming up next on West Virginia Today, we'll take a look at some legislative efforts to keep players, coaches, and officials safe during sporting events. Stay with us.
Welcome back. More than 2/3 of the 35,000 officials who responded to a 2023 survey said harassment on the field is getting worse, Hannah. The survey came from the National Association of Sports Officials.
More than 20 states have laws criminalizing attacks and harassment of referees in the hopes that it will act as a deterrent for bad behavior.
A similar bill was introduced in West Virginia this year, but was vetoed by Governor Patrick Morrisey. I traveled to Bridgeport to talk to sports officials who say they're disappointed in the veto and want lawmakers to do more in the future. The bill's sponsor, Senator Mike Wolfel, says he plans to reintroduce it during the 2026 legislative session.
63% of concussions in football are caused by tackling, Ty.
And Hannah, lawmakers in West Virginia are looking for ways to reduce these injuries in high school sports. This year, they considered a bill to require guardian caps, a soft-shelled additional layer to football helmets that can reduce head impact severity by nearly 10%.
Reporter Lily Reisenweber traveled to Wheeling to meet a student athlete who is using these caps to keep himself and his teammates safe.
Nearly 2,500 bills were introduced during the 2025 legislative session, but only 1 in 10 actually became law.
Some bills that didn't make the cut involved assuring West Virginians access to clean drinking water and affordable utility bills, and some policy changes that would have made cuts to Medicaid funding.
Reporter Jeff Bogus joins us from Studio B at the Media Innovation Center to tell us how some legislators are preparing for next year. Jeff?
Thanks, Ty. Hannah. West Virginia House Democrats are hitting the road on a kitchen table tour. These public forums will be held across the state, giving West Virginians a chance to speak directly with their representatives about issues impacting them. It was standing room only at the second of 10 community forums, this time in Martinsburg on September 15th. Nearly 100 people were in attendance to talk to members of the legislature about their concerns. They discussed the rising cost of living, access to health care, and local industries' impact on the environment. Lawmakers say having a conversation is just the start.
But one of the things we want to do is make sure that if you feel like there's not a whole lot that can be done right now, I think you're wrong.
Legislators don't have all the answers. This is a people thing. And so the more we listen, we're going to get it right, and we're going to go to the Capitol and fight like hell for all of those kitchen table issues.
5 members of the legislature attended the public forum. All were Democrats, but lawmakers say they want all members of the public to share their concerns with them at upcoming events. The tour is scheduled to conclude in Beckley on November 3rd, with stops in between in Wheeling, Lewisburg, and Flatwoods. Hannah, Ty, back to you at the Waterfront Studio.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, that's going to do it for us on this edition of West Virginia Today. I'm Ty McClung.
And I'm Hannah High School. You can keep up with the latest from West Virginia Today on our website at the bottom of your screen. You can also watch our shows on YouTube and statewide on West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on West Virginia Today.